Welcome to another edition of the Mangia Cast. Bob Papa, Chris, nobody beats the Biz and Yano. What's up, my man?
Good, buddy. What's
Giants
going on,
have a quarterback.
Man? Giants have a first off. Let's say a little chin for you.
Chin. What do you got tonight?
I got an old but goodie, Kendall Jackson. I used to go to years ago. I brought it back this week. I saw it in a liquor store. I said, you know what? I haven't had that in a while. I like to vary, so.
I'm back on the down tonight.
I used that last week. I bought that last week. Very good suggestion. I liked it. Went back
the one
to
I drank
this week.
The one I drank in Vincenzo's last week. That was good.
I got to get that. Yeah, you told me that was really good.
I was cooking in the kitchen. All right, so the Giants quarterback room is filled, sort of. Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson. We'll talk about that. We got John Cook coming on the program. The voice of the Yankees, Michael Kay, is going to join us. That's right. Russell Wilson was once a New York Yankee, or in the Yankee system. But what's your overall take? Do you think this means they won't take a quarterback at 3 if there's one there? Nah.
Listen, Pop, if it's all depends on how they have him rated. I think they like Shador. If they have him rated that high as a franchise guy and he's there at 3, they will draft Shador Sanders. That's my opinion. I don't think I don't think the signing of Russell Wilson changes what they need to do, and that's draft their future quarterback. Now they covered themselves, right, Bob? If I know you've been pretty hot and heavy on Cleveland going with Sanders at 2. Read the tea leaves. It looks like Tennessee's looking at Cam Ward at 1. So Brian Dable and Joe Shane, they have the quarterback position covered. They got the 2 veterans in. Russell Wilson will go in camp as the starter. If they don't get their guy, it's a win-win where you're going to draft an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter. But they have a guy that can win some games on Sunday afternoons with Russell Wilson. But to me, they're still going to be looking for their guy. And in my opinion, that will be Shador Sanders. So we'll see what happens.
All right, you like the shrimp dish I made last week, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, we're going old school tonight. Chicken cutlets, a little parm, a little Milanese.
My favorite.
And a little piccata. And we're going to show you how to make it. Okay. But we got to welcome in our first guest because not only is the voice of the New York Yankees for many years, but also hosts a daily radio show on ESPN Radio in New York, the Michael Kay Show. And opening day is tomorrow. We begin defense of our American League title. Michael Kay joins the program, fellow Fordham. Michael, thank you for joining us here on the Mangia Cast.
I'm so glad to be with you guys, and I'm just so envious of Biz's hair. I mean, what a man! That is beautiful.
Thank you, Mike. It's getting really gray, Mike, but so far
doesn't matter the color. Matters
at 58.
The length.
I'm pretty fortunate.
There you go.
Thank you.
So,
Mike.
Michael, I know you're a little picky when it comes to eating. And last week I made a spicy shrimp dish. I made a carbonara 1 week on the show. So tonight I'm going to teach our audience how to make just a good old-fashioned chicken parm. What do you think?
Looks great. Looks great.
Looks great there, Pop.
Have you ever made it?
Listen, with the passing of George Foreman, it makes me think of what I do in the kitchen. I use the George Foreman grill to have burgers. That's about it.
Michael Kay's on my level, Papa cooking.
I'm going to teach you guys something. I taught Phil Simms how to make a carbonara on the show. So this is pretty simple. But I know your wife can make it, so that's all that really matters, right?
My wife can make it. My late mom used to make it great. My sister makes it. And a lot of restaurants that I frequent, they make it. So it's either steak or chicken parm for me.
And when it's bad, man, it's bad. And it's amazing how people can mess it up.
Yeah, I don't know how they can mess it up. I mean, sometimes they try to do it without breading and frying it, and grilled chicken with, any kind of sauce and mozzarella to me doesn't do the trick.
Grilled? Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I mean, people try to turn a great dish into something healthy, and it doesn't have the same kick.
No, it's not. So, what year is this for you, as far as the Yankees? And yes, for the career.
This is the 24th year on Yes, and the 34th year as a broadcaster. I did 10 years with John on radio.
You still get fired up for the start of the season, or is it a different kind of fired up?
I still look forward to it. Since I had kids, and I have a 10-year-old son, a 12-year-old daughter, it just means that you're going to be away from them more. So that tugs at you just a little bit. But the thing that was really a kick in the cubes is that opening day, which I've done for 33 straight years, I will not be doing tomorrow because ESPN has the exclusive rights to opening day. So that stinks.
Ooh, wow.
Couldn't weasel your way in. You work for ESPN.
Well, yes, as a pre and post game. But, if they have a choice between me and Joe Buck, I think they're going to take Joe Buck, which is what they did.
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Yeah.
I think of Joe. You still think of Joe with Fox, and I've gotten used to him now on Monday Night Football, but I forgot. Yeah, there's the natural baseball tie-in. All right, so how are my Yankees going to be? I mean, last year was exciting, but it ended miserably, starting with Game 1 and, of course, the fiasco in Game 5 that is one for the ages. But what do you think of this team this year?
A lot of people feel dread about the team because of the loss of Cole and then the loss of Luis Heel for about 3 months. And I understand that. You can't put lipstick on a pig. Losing one of the best pitchers in baseball is going to hurt. They're fortunate that they had signed Max Fried. But again, the whole look of the rotation is different now because if Cole and Heel were healthy, then you have Fried and Rodon and Clark Schmidt, and that could match up with anybody. Now you've got Fried at the top. You've got Rodon second. You got Marcus Stroman, who is almost assuredly going to be traded. He's your number 3 starter. Will Warren got roughed up in 5 games in the big leagues last year, got hit hard in the last 2 spring training games. He's your number 4 starter. Carlos Carrasco, who got hit hard with the Guardians last year, he's your number 5. And there's very little depth. They will get Clark Schmidt back maybe in the middle of April. Okay, so that's a negative. The positive is they have a real good lineup. Their defense is much improved over last year, which was an important thing, especially after what they did in the World Series. And I think the American League is very forgiving. There's not a team in the American League that scares me. So even as presently constituted with the injuries that they have, I still think there's a path for them to get to the World Series.
What about this Jamokes team, the Red Sox?
All right, Mike.
I
All right,
still
Michael, I'm
can't
going to
get-
give you something. You ready?
Listen to that accent. He's a Red Sox fan.
Michael, I'm going to give you something.
All right.
First off, you're 100%. There's nobody in the American League that scares you. The Astros are not the Astros anymore. And so there's no clear-cut favorite. But I'm telling you now, and Mike, I am the most objective guy. I'm not one of those. My team is the. Watch the Boston Red Sox this year.
Do I have to?
You're not agreeing with me.
No, I think they're much improved, but
Mike,
there's a lot resting on Garrett Crochet and a lot resting on Walker Buehler. Those are big question marks. They have 3 of their 5 starters hurt. And if you want to close with Aroldis Chapman, okay, have fun.
Michael, I'm telling you, I'm just saying it. You better watch the Sox this year.
Well, I think they're a playoff team.
Mike, they could win the division this year. You can look at me like I'm nuts all you want. I can see, I can read you. You can. I'm just telling you, these guys are going to be real good this year.
I got some questions, though.
Go ahead. Now. Okay. And his questions like everybody else. Every team has the warts.
No. Where are you from?
Born in Brooklyn.
Then why are you a Red Sox fan? What happened?
So I'm going to get into it quick. I know you were angry. I could see you want to kill me. I can see it. Okay. So I'm going to get into it.
Not at all.
I was just one of those kids. All my friends were Yankee fans and all that. And I was one of those, I got to be different. So, Mike, as you know, well, you're a Yankee guy. You don't experience too much of this, but the heartbreaking losses get you closer to your team, right? It started for me in 75 when Joe Morgan dropped. I was 9 years old, drops that little bloop single in center field. They lose in 7 games to the Reds. 1978, we all know what happened with your guys, right? And Mike, I know we talked that playoff game in 78, and everybody mentions what? Oh, Bucky Dent. But could we please talk about Reggie's big 2-1 homer in that game, too? That made it 5-2. And then you got lucky in the 8th inning. The base hit the right. Pinella gives one of these. He doesn't even see it. He comes up with the one hop. Jerry Remy's got to hold up. All that lucky nonsense the Yankees had in that game. And then Goose on his 80th pitch of the game gets it over the hill. Yaz and a pop. So those tough losses. And then 86, that that godsend Met win over them. So that's the story. As I got older, I used to go to Fenway. I just fell in love with the team, the stadium, and here I am, Mike.
Bob, can I add something to this?
But Mike,
yeah.
we're on the margin. You can add whatever you want.
You can't play the woe is me card anymore. You came back.
I'm not playing that anymore.
3-0 deficit. You've won 4 World Series to the Yankees 1. It's over. Stop. You can't feel like
Mike,
you're being grieved.
No, you're asking me and I said how I developed to this diehard Red Sox fan. No, Mike, this century is ours. This century is ours, my friend. Ever since 2004, it's ours. It's 4-1. It's ours. No, I'm not saying. There's no woe to me anymore. You know, can I give a quick story, Mike, about Yankee fans, please?
Are you going to stop?
Show, man. No.
One quick story. So we win the world, the 2004 thing. I go back to the stadium in 2005. I got my Johnny Damon jersey on. And my friend, a couple of guys, you're crazy. These Yankee fans are going to kill. They're going to go crazy. Mike, I have to be honest with you. I'm sitting down a low level, and the Yankee fans were the best. You congratulations, you deserved it. We choked, and it was
because we thought it was a one-off.
Okay,
We thought it was a one-off.
Yankee fans were great. The tension was over. You could go up to Femi now with a Yankee hat. You're not going to get beat up anymore like in the old days and all that stuff. Ever since they won that first World Series,
it's different. It's different because that used to be the Red Sox fans' identity. Now you don't have that identity, but you have finished last 3 out of the last 5 years.
Yeah, I know, Mike. I know. But you know the Red Sox. They like to do that. Then when they make the playoffs, unlike another team in this area, they, go to ALCS, World Series. When they play the Dodgers, they beat them. You know all that stuff I'm talking about, Mike.
Gotcha.
I'm getting stewed up, Pop. What do you think?
Michael, I want to ask you about Russell Wilson because obviously you have a daily sports talk show on ESPN New York. So you got the Michael K. Show. What's the feedback you've gotten from fans as far as this acquisition? Because at least the ones that I've talked to, it's very lukewarm.
I think that would be accurate, although you think you'd be more enthusiastic about Mr. Unlimited, but I don't think Giant fans are happy at all. The quarterback room is sketchy at best. I put this question out there, when they first signed Jameis Winston, and obviously you're much more in touch with the sport than anybody I know, but have you ever seen a successful quarterback that's a goofball?
No.
I can't think of one. And he's a goofball. I don't know how he helps the quarterback room. And then Russell Wilson lost the last 5 starts for the Steelers last year that he played. So I think his best days are definitely in his rearview mirror. Is he better? My son, who's 10 years old, he said, "Dad, he's better than Drew Lock." And I said, okay, but that's a low bar. So I don't feel great about it. I'm a Giant fan too. And the Giant fans that are calling in, they feel like it's going to be a lost season because the schedule is a beast.
No, it's brutal.
No, it's brutal.
How much fun is it having a 10-year-old son becoming aware of all this? Because my son Max is 10, and then my grown kids, when they start to really become aware of sport and you work in sport, it brings a whole new flavor and fun to the job that you can actually kind of talk shop with your kid, on a certain level. To me, it's one of the great thrills of what we do is to be able to kind of share some of that inside baseball with your kids.
I'll tell you a story. It's gonna sound a little corny. So I was down in Tampa over the weekend doing 2 spring training games, and so I'm doing the game. And he's texting me what's happening in the UConn game. And I actually, I kind of got emotional. I mean, this is my kid. I never pushed him to like sports. My daughter hates sports, hates it. But my son, he loves everything. I came down here, I was watching the Knick game, and he sits there with me watching the Knick game, and he does play-by-play. And it's just the greatest. I hope that I could, have myself a little Noah Eagle, but I don't know if I'm too old to see when he gets to be 25, I'll be dead. but hopefully somebody I know will help him get into the business.
Not corny at all, Mike. That's great, man. That's great.
Hey, Michael, growing up in the Bronx, you went to Fordham, best college radio station in the country, and pound for pound, the talent that our school has turned out has been pretty awesome. Did you ever in your wildest dreams see this path? I know, because I know you started in the newspaper business, but you did broadcast when you were at Fordham. And then when you reflect upon all of it, do you sit back at all and just say, damn, this has been some really cool journey?
All the time. When I was 9 years old, I told my parents I wanted to be the Yankee announcer. But, I had an accent even in college, like Vinny Barbarino. So it was tough.
Like this.
Yeah. But, it works well for you. It really does.
Exactly.
But it wouldn't work well for me on the radio. So
I have no future, Mike. I'm done announcing games.
I got to tell you, with your looks, you'd have a future on TV. But I got into the newspaper business because I was told that with my accent that I have to go to a small station in the Midwest and work my way back. And I just know I couldn't do it. I wouldn't be able to do it. So I became, the beat writer for the Post and then the News. And just traveling with the Yankees for those 5 years, I kind of got rid of most of the accent. And I was always the rain delay guest, for the radio. And when the spot next to Sterling opened up, that WABC called me and if I asked if I would be interested. And I said, yeah. I don't know how I got it, but I did. But, one quick story about Fordham, probably my closest friend in the world is Breen, Mike Breen. And we would sit in the campus center together. He's wearing his reindeer sweater for the fourth time in a week. And I've got my snorkel coat on. And I would say, I really want to be the Yankee announcer. He goes, yeah, I really want to be the Knick announcer. And like when we get together, like if I have a week off in the summer, we'll get together in the Hamptons. He has a house there. And we can't believe that it's happened. And I never, ever want to lose sight of how fortunate I am. Like every time I walk into the booth, every time, I guarantee you, I look around and go, wow, this is really happening. And I still have a fear that it's all going to be taken away. But even if it is taken away, a 34-year run as the Yankee announcer is pretty good. So yeah, this is what I always wanted. But I'm sure there are thousands of kids that want the same thing. And I was the one lucky enough to get it because it's all about luck. It really is. It's not about skill. It's being in the right place at the right time. The old butterfly effect. So yeah, I know how lucky I am.
Living the dream, Mike.
Yep.
Congratulations to you, man. Now let me ask you this, Mike. If your son, after the Sox win the division this year, if he starts leaning towards them a little bit, are you the type of dad's going to say, "Oh no, Yankees"?
He, at the age of 8, was telling me how much he despised the Red Sox. So he's been raised well. But I never, ever, ever told him who to root for. Ever. Never. I would never push him that way. If he wanted to root for the Mets, he could root for the Mets. But that's not what's going to happen. He really loves the Yankees. So that's never been a problem. It really has never been a problem at all. He's gravitated toward the Yankees. He's going opening day tomorrow with me. So he's really into it.
See, that's the thing about baseball. Like even with my kids, like the game was always on. Whether I was taking them to baseball practice or whatever, we'd have the radio on, and so you're listening to the game. And then you go home and you put it on as it's time to get something to eat, get them bathed, get ready for bed. I think it's a lot harder in today's world because of the exposure of football to keep a kid interested in a team. Because of fantasy, because of the Madden game, and because all the games are on, one day a week or a couple days a week. I'm amazed at how many little kids are like fans of other teams and, pissing their fathers off.
I could see it. And I also, I could see just with my kid, and I don't know if your 10-year-old's like this, Bob, he when he's at a game, he's totally engaged for all 9 innings. But when he's at the house watching a game, he's running around, he's throwing a football up and catching it in the air. But he consumes the game on MLB.com in the morning when they have all the highlights. And, he got everything that you get if you sit there for 2.5 hours. So I think the youth of today, their attention span is shorter, and there's an ability for them to consume the game and not have to watch the whole thing. So I think that's going to be an issue for a lot of sports because you can watch the game in a compressed way and still get everything out of it that you would have gotten out of it if you sat there for 3 hours.
Yeah, that's a great point because I noticed that too. Yeah, it's sitting down. Like I remember sitting down in the Bronx, my grandparents' house with my grandfather and being 8 or 9 years old. And you'd have the daily news and you'd read the paper and look through the box score. And then when the Yankee game came on, you sat next to him. And then maybe you got up to get something to eat or got him something to eat or whatever. But you actually sat there and watched the game. Now it's no way. That is not happening. Now it's
social media.
There's a catch turned into the game. There's a let's work on sliding. I saw these new batting gloves. You know, oh my gosh, the amount of money I've spent on baseball bats in the last 2 years.
There's a
What a
comedian.
deal that is.
I think it might be Maniscalco. And it's so funny because, you know, you get them the aluminum bats for the travel teams and they're $350. And every kid on the team has one of those bats. Well, why can't they share one bat?
Oh, no.
Remember when we used to share the only two aluminum bats they had?
Absolutely.
There'd be one heavier and one a little lighter.
Yep.
And there was two bats. Maybe the coach had 3 bats in the bag, but one was usually shitty. And you shared them. Now
it was the old wooden bats too.
Now there's all these colors.
Yeah.
And Rawlings and DeMarini. And trust me, I bought about 8 of them. This one's for travel, but this one can be used in rec play. And now the hot pink one. Everybody's got the hot pink one.
Yep.
And everybody's got the Jazz Chisholm batting gloves. And the sliding gloves now look like cartoon characters.
His birthday is in November, so his best buddy said, Ollie asked Charlie, what do you want for your birthday? And he said these batting gloves. So the mother called up Jody.
Bolt batting gloves?
Yeah, they were $300. And like Jody said, absolutely do not buy him those gloves. And the mother bought the gloves, and I was beside myself. I mean, Jazz Chisholm's gloves don't cost $300, but that's what these kids are now. It's amazing.
Hey, Mike, a couple of rule changes a couple years ago. I think you're probably going to agree. I think a great rule change was the time clock. I think, cutting the games now to 2:40, 2:35. We see games, right, Mike, 2:05 now. Mm-hmm. I think that was a great move to keep the young kids' interest a little bit more because let's face it, the games were getting crazy, Mike. 3.5. And you remember the old Yankee Red Sox game. It seemed like every one was 4 hours.
Fox, they were like 4 hours.
Oh my God. So I think that was a great rule change, Mike. That's been very successful. The one I would like to see, Mike, I'd like to get your opinion on this. I think throwing over to first is ridiculous. Only 2 times a base runner. I'd like to see him kind of tinker with that down the road. Your opinion on that?
I don't love that rule. Yeah, I don't like any rule that changes the basic premise of the game. Mm-hmm. I don't think the clock does. I think that's actually turning the clock back because the game used to be played in 2.5 hours, 2:15. Right. But then they started preening, and every time they take a pitch, they adjust their batting gloves. I don't love, the limited throwing over. Although there's an air of strategy to it. Mm-hmm. Throw over once. Do you waste your second throw, or do you keep that second throw in the head of the base runner, and maybe that keeps them close? So there's something to that. What I witnessed in spring training, and I think it's gonna help, is the challenge system. I think it's fun. It happens quickly. It's like 6 seconds.
Right.
And if it's a big moment, you challenge it, and you could change the way the game, the outcome of the game. A couple of times the Yankees had balls challenged against them that were strikeouts that turned into a ball, and then there's a letdown for the pitcher, and he ends up giving up a home run to the next batter. So I think that I don't think we're going to see that maybe until 2026 or maybe 2027. But just to get a taste of it during spring training, I think that might also be a fun rule change as well. But the interesting part, Biz, about changing the rules in baseball, the fans of baseball treat it like it's the Vatican.
Yeah, I know.
Like you can't change anything without people going absolutely crazy. And then, Bob sees this with football. they absolutely obliterated. I mean, they obliterated the kickoff rule. It's a joke.
Oh, absolutely.
If they did something like that in baseball, there would be mass hysteria.
Mm-hmm.
The NBA adds a 3-point shot. If baseball does anything like that's why I feel for Rob Manfred. If he has to change anything, it's got to be a slow tweak. The players' union battles it, and it takes forever. It's like moving around a cruise ship. And baseball sometimes is its own worst enemy. It really is.
Mike, do you like the ghost runner in the extra innings?
Hate it.
Oh,
That's my least favorite rule.
Oh.
And I think the only people that like it are the managers because they don't have to blow out their pitching staff, and the people that work the games because they don't want to be there for 16 innings. I love a 16-inning game. I think it's interesting. I think it's great. It's something that you talk about for days. I hate the ghost runner. You're rewarding them for what? For nothing. Because you made the last out of the 9th inning, you get to be on second base. I think that, again, it changes the nature of the game. I despise it. I really do. Now, if you feel compelled to keep it, then make it like the 13th inning. Let them play real baseball for the 10th, 11th, 12th. Right. And then if it looks like it's going to go on forever, then maybe add a runner. Maybe add him at first. But putting him at second, it's too easy to score. It really is.
Yeah, I absolutely hate it. I can't stand it. It just because you're playing the game in a pure sense for 9 innings, and then all of a sudden you have this outlier, and now runs are being scored and and games are being decided that way. And it's like, this is ridiculous.
It's like a shootout in hockey. That's not hockey. They don't. Listen, if it was such a great rule in hockey, they would have it in the Stanley Cup. They don't. If it was such a great rule for baseball, they'd have it in the playoffs. They don't. So I don't agree with why they did it. I think it really hurts the game, and most baseball fans don't like it at all. And the ones that do like it, they have an ulterior motive.
Hey, we showed that picture early in the show of Russell Wilson in a Yankee uniform because he was, in the Yankee system. Did you get to know him at all in spring training at all over those years?
I didn't really get to know him, but I know that, he actually worked hard and, put a lot of effort into it. He didn't take it as a joke at all. So I think, he's a pretty good baseball player, but probably that ship has sailed for him. And he looks like he's done okay in football as well. But I really didn't get to know him. I mean, it was just hello and goodbye sort of thing. But I know that the guys on the team actually liked him. I mean, I hear different in football, but in baseball, they seem like they like him.
Yeah, look, he was on with us today, Mike. Yeah, he did the Zoom with us today, and he met with the media. And look, he came across as Russell Wilson. I want to be here. I love the process. I love the coaching staff. Love the players and all that stuff. And that's Russell Wilson. Look, a lot of people look at him and say, he's a little bit of a phony. And like you said, Mike, earlier, your fans, people calling it the station, and I get it, on X, covering the Giants, there's not much enthusiasm with the signing of Russell Wilson.
No.
There was more enthusiasm, Michael, with the Jameis Winston signing, believe it or not, over Russell Wilson.
And it's funny, it looked like there was a chance that Aaron Rodgers could come there too. And with every piece of baggage that Aaron Rodgers brings, I mean, there's a set of Samsonite with him. I think most Giant fans would have preferred to have him there because I think that as a pure quarterback, he's still that guy. He still has that great arm. He still has that great mind. I think the thing that made Russell Wilson go to the Super Bowl 2 years in a row, I think that guy doesn't exist anymore.
No. He
doesn't have that escapability. He just doesn't. So he's a shorter quarterback that doesn't have the ability to run away from, the rush. And that's a concern. It really is. And I just think the Giants are in a situation now where the owner brings back Shane and Dable and says, well, I've got to see a lot of improvement this year. And I don't think that was a way to bring them back. If you really believe in those guys, what I would have done is give them a 3-year contract extension and give them time to flesh this out. But I don't think if they had that 3-year contract extension that they would be messing with Jameis Winston, a guy who threw 30 interceptions in a season once, and an older Russell Wilson. I think that they're desperate. They've got to win games in order to keep their job. So I don't think that's the proper way to build a team.
And Michael, you're right. I mean, that's what people are forgetting is that these guys have to win games.
Yep.
that's what his two veterans in here. They can't have another 3-14 season, Mike, because they're going to be gone.
Basically, we had people calling today and go, well, maybe the plan is to like really have a bad season and get Arch Manning.
That's not the plan.
And I said, it might be your plan, but Dable and Shane will not be executing it. They'll be fired.
They'll be gone, Michael. They'll be gone. They can't have a season like last year.
No, they cannot be eliminated from the playoffs before your kid goes trick-or-treating. And it's been a commonplace over the last 12 years. There's been too many seasons where it's over. And if it's not over before trick-or-treating, it's over before you cut the Thanksgiving turkey.
Yeah,
just get it into December. Be in the mix. If you come up short and now you're looking at, okay, here's where we're short, here's where we're good, this is what we have to add. I think ownership can live with that.
Right.
But the being dead in the water, going into December 1st, and considering the season goes 2 weeks into January, that's a lot of games. That's 6 games left of just meaning nothing.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, it's tough for Giant fans who are great fans, and it was tough to watch last year. The one thing that I'm worried about, I really like Brian Dable. I really do. There's something about him. I think there's a real good football coach in there. But everybody makes him out to, well, he's a quarterback whisperer. Well, I guess he didn't whisper to Daniel Jones, did he? I mean, you wonder, is he a great quarterback coach? Or was Josh Allen just a great player that anybody could have made a great player? So then, that seems to be another narrative. Well, he's got to bring in his young quarterback, in order to mold him and whisper to him. Well, Daniel Jones is pretty young. It didn't work with him. So, I mean, there's a lot on the line for Brian Dable, and there's a lot on the line for Joe Shane.
Hey, Michael, I know got to let you go here because you got a family to deal with, and you were nice enough to do this. Where's your favorite go-to chicken parm place if your wife's not making it?
Let's see. There's a place, you're going to laugh at this. There's a place in Scarsdale on Central Avenue called Pizza and Brew. And they make an unbelievable chicken parm. Unbelievable. Really good. Really, really good.
It's like a little hole-in-the-wall type place, Mike?
No, it's like it's got a varied menu, but it's basically Italian, and it's been there for 40 years, so obviously it's got something going on. And there's another place in Manhattan, Pomodoro, who makes a real good chicken parm. And the reason I remember that is that that was my first date with Jody was at Pomodoro in Manhattan, and I had the chicken parmesan. And by the end of the dessert, we were talking about end of life scenarios and wills and everything. That was on the first date.
Jesus.
Well, that's some damn good chicken parm.
It's like truth serum in that.
Oh my God. I know.
Like, how hard was that for you though? The date, because you're a little picky when it comes to eating. I was telling Biz, no condiments, never had a condiment. So you got to be pretty specific when you go out to eat. On a date, I would think that it was a little tougher.
Well, it's not as difficult as you would think because every place has steak, right? Yeah. And if you go to an Italian place, you're going to have chicken parmesan. So I'm okay. I mean, if Jody eats everything, she really loves different types of food. And I never want to inhibit her when we go out. And I always tell her, don't worry about it. I can always get steak. Wherever you go, you could always get steak. But I wish I was a better eater. I really do. I could just see the joy you get in cooking and stuff like that. And, I've never had an egg. I've never had fish. I've never had anything like that. I'm not very daring when it comes to food. I've never had a condiment. I've never had anything like that. So I've never had a banana. I'm really weird.
Wow, really? Michael, you never had an egg? Seriously?
Never had an egg. My mom used to put it into malteds, and obviously if you make a cake, there's egg in there. Yeah. But in terms of
I'm talking about
scrambled eggs or sunny side up, never.
Wow.
But your kids eat it. Charlie
is a great eater. My daughter is me. Charlie eats everything and actually likes to cook too. But Callie, I think for every year of her life, every morning of her life, she's had toast and Nutella. That's pretty much her breakfast.
Okay.
Hey, we got Tutu, your guy Tutu from Italy's weighing in.
Yeah. He's the best.
Tutu's
Tutu's the
watching
best.
the
Thank
show.
you, Tutu. He's the man.
Hey, all right, Michael, you want to just quickly see how to make this chicken parm?
Yeah, let's see.
All right, Lindsay, let's roll this chicken parm, the Milanese, the piccata, whatever, for Michael to see.
Milanese, I know you like that one a lot, and a little piccata. So, first order of business, we got to split these because they're too big. So you're going to just take our knife and just kind of cut through it.
Because Michael, there's nothing worse than when you go
Nice and
someplace with
flat.
chicken chicken parm, and the chicken is too
We got
thick.
some egg.
Yeah, I don't like
salt,
it too
pepper,
thick.
Some Parmesan Reggiano, a little bit of milk.
Close your eyes, Michael. There's egg there.
And then I'm going to put
I can accept it.
freshly grated parsley that I let dry. And then I took a garlic press and I pressed garlic in here too. So in the other bowl, I took flour, a lot of breadcrumb, again, Parmesan Reggiano, just a dash of cornstarch, salt, pepper, and a half a teaspoon of sugar. And I kind of just whisk that all
Little trick
together.
there, the sugar. Most people don't know that.
Get 'em
That's the
all
old
in
Italian
there,
trick.
Get 'em nice and
What does the sugar
incorporated.
do?
Then I'm going to cover this,
Just
and you're going to
helps it get crispy, and it gives it just a little back flavor sweetness
everything kind
to
of
it all.
soak in the garlic, the parsley, the cheese, and just let it all kind of get incorporated. So I'm going to just mix this in like so. Cover it
Like the gloves
put it in the
biz?
fridge.
Yeah, you got the
Had our
surgeon gloves
chicken
on. I
sitting
noticed
in
that.
that nice, beautiful mixture. So now we got to bread them. So now we put it in our bread mixture. Here's where the
might
magic happens. So we got our olive oil nice and hot. Should be ready.
I think I need the chicken color a little bit thinner.
A little thinner.
Piece in.
Let me see. Yeah, I think I need a little
Perfect.
bit thinner. Yeah.
Perfect.
Did you flat it down enough or not?
It's flat. It's plain flat.
And it should go
Michael, do you
7 or
approve?
8 minutes on each side.
Looks good so far.
Nice and crisp.
Makes that little
That
sound.
We got a little Milanese. So I took
Oh,
right.
gosh.
So you got the Milanese.
got my
That's for
chicken
Biz.
cutlets,
Oh, this is for Michael.
This is for Michael here.
freshly made.
It's like a little thick.
All right, so I made some marinara, just your basic marinara season. Put it together. Had
Now,
it in
did
the
you make
freezer,
that,
actually,
Bob,
and I
or is it
saved
ragu?
You never
No, I
know when
made
you're gonna
that.
need some extra marinara.
Take some crushed tomato,
gonna
a
get
little
this.
salt and pepper, maybe a little garlic powder, maybe a little onion powder.
Nice and evenly. I'll go back over and add
Throw a
some
little
more.
basil in there,
Just wanna make sure
and then you
each
just
one
let it
gets
cook.
their hit. God, this one's shaped like Cape Cod. Holy fucking shit. Whole milk mozzarella. Fresh mozzarella doesn't work as good. It's like when you're making homemade pizza. Fresh mozzarella does not. It's harder to put it in the oven and get it to melt.
All right, Lindsay, you can fast forward this
Melt
part.
factor is different. All right, got some fresh Reggiano. So now we want to get the fresh.
I don't like using the packaged stuff. I like to do it myself.
Look nice when it melts in. What are the Italian colors, Biz?
Yeah.
Red, white, and green. Boom. Oven's been heating at 475. If I have to put it on broil, I will. Finished product.
Oof.
We got a little. Look at that. Boom.
Man.
Perfectly
Now,
brown,
if you're
too.
partial to a little
Like that,
extra
right?
Sauce.
You know, like you need it. It's got to have that little on the edges. It's got to have a little of that that crunch.
Yeah, gotta have
Because I
that.
see
Yeah,
you as an extra
absolutely.
sauce kinda.
You better be making this shit when I go down there.
Michael
It's like when you had lasagna, and as a kid, you always liked the corners.
There's my condiments. Boom, boom, boom. Little pepper.
Excellent.
Some, like just an extra fresh.
Nice little touch there, Pop, at the end.
Italian.
Nice touch.
Mangia.
There you go, Michael.
Chicken parm. 3 dishes, chicken cutlets.
There you
Man.
go.
My mouth is watering.
Tell
I know.
Jody to get to work.
How did you learn how to cook? How did this come about?
Oh, from when I was a kid, just watching my mother and
Really?
my grandparents in the Bronx. Like, we didn't order out. We didn't do any of that stuff. Like, my job as a kid, I'm 12 years old or whatever. Like, we ate on schedules. Friday night, we never had meat. So we had fried shrimp, filet of sole, linguine and clam sauce. My job was always to make the pizza. So I'd take the dough and Saturday night, peel the potatoes. for steak on the grill with broccoli rabe or whatever. And I love to cook. It's like that's my relaxing thing.
That's great.
Makes me relaxing. Well, you know what's great? You taking the time to come on.
Yeah, thank you, Michael.
I appreciate it.
Did I win you over? Are you a Yankee fan now?
Michael, you can never win me over. But listen, in October, when the Sox, we'll probably have it clinched by the middle of September. Okay, when they win the division, I'm going to tweet at you from the Giant Insider. Michael, remember what I told you back in March?
I'll come back on. We'll talk about it.
We're going to come Mike on. We're going to talk about it. Okay?
All right.
Chin chin. Michael, thank you.
It was a pleasure, buddy.
Thanks,
We'll
guys.
be watching. I'll be texting.
All right. Be good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The great Michael K joining us on this edition of the Mangia Cast. Yep. Italian snow. We got to get Tutu's comment in here. His last comment.
Biz, there's no competition in kitchen Italian Pizzano. Please come to Italy and we'll prepare. Tuto, tell me what part of Italy. Okay? I'd like to make a trip. And if I go over there to the homeland, I will have to look you up, my friend. You have to tell me where you are when that time comes. I got to get some wine too, Tuto. Okay? You got to give me some. I got to go up to Tuscany over there, get some good wine. My daughter was there a couple years ago. She brought home some unbelievable wine. Best I ever had. Needless to say. So, okay, Tuto, try to make that happen, buddy.
Hey, Lindsay, can we just get the quick clip of me finishing it with the Milanese for
Pop, by the way,
Biz?
that look, your chicken palm looked out of this world,
Chicken
brother.
parm,
I like the little
chicken
touch at the end.
piccata, chicken Milanese. Eat your fucking heart out.
Oof.
Yeah, there's the clip of the Milanese. Basically, I just take some arugula, a little bit of olive oil, salt and pepper. Lindsay will get that picture up for you.
Yeah, get that picture
Tomato,
up.
lemon juice, a little salt and pepper. I know you're a big Milanese guy.
That's one of my go-tos.
Kind of set that on top like so. Let me get you a tomato. Now we're gonna get some fresh Reggiano.
I'm going with the shaved pieces here.
Yeah, no, I like the shave, Pop. I like the shave. That's a nice touch on top. Not everybody does that. Not every place does that.
The balsamic glaze just to
Gotta
give
have
you a
the
little tang.
balsamic glaze. That's a must.
There you go.
One more dash of lemon.
With a little lemon on top, huh?
There you go, my friend. Is your Milanese.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah,
I
thanks,
hope you plan on, when I fly down to your area there, I hope you plan on making this stuff. I don't want to hear anything. Oh, my wife, I got, my Max has got this. I hope you plan on whipping this Milanese up. I don't want to hear no
I'll whip it
bullshit. I hope you plan on making that stuff. What am I talking
make
to?
it
Wall
for
here?
you.
Are you listening?
No, I'm going to make it for you. I'm going to make it for you. The piccata came out unbelievable. I'll show you that at the end of the show.
Well, I plan on, look, we're going to have to do a game live like we're going to do next season. And then as we're doing the game, we're going to be eating all your Milanese and the Parmesan as we're doing the game. I mean, that's
Let me tell you something. The
piccata.
piccata, I'm going to show you.
Games to do this.
I got to show you the piccata at the end of the show, but I don't want to keep our next guest waiting because he's got 21 PGA Tour wins under his belt, 11 on the regular tour, 10 on the PGA Tour Champions, won a national championship with Ohio State, won the U.S. Amateur right there in New Jersey at Plainfield. And my broadcast partner for this week on Golf Channel in studio from the Gallery Classic, the one, the only John Cook. Johnny, welcome. We got it working this week.
Oh my God, we got it working. I'm a tech genius.
What are you
Thank God
drinking?
for
Chin
Lindsay.
chin.
We got this all figured out.
John,
What do you got tonight?
I'm going to surprise you, Bob. I got a little 818 Añejo tequila with a little orange peel, nice little essence in here. And that chicken parm just killed me.
yeah.
We got to sample some of that.
You like piccata?
Oh God, yeah. Love it.
Then make sure you hang on because I'm going to show you how to make the piccata in a little bit.
John, it did look.
I can't make coffee. So I'm so jealous of you guys.
John, I want to get your reaction to Rory winning the Players to start with. there were a lot of guys that had a chance. He kind of squandered it late and then winds up in that playoff. But, your thoughts on him picking up a second players, because winning one is one, winning two is pretty amazing.
Well, yeah. I mean, the way that he did it, coming back the next morning in playoff. That's next level stuff. That's why these great champions are who they are. Take nothing away from JJ Spawn. It's a great story. Maybe not going to have many of those going forward, Bob, quite honestly, with a lot of the regulations and all these things. You're not going to see a JJ Spawn maybe in some of these signature events. So he will be now, but those stories just don't, they're not going to happen quite as often. So, we're going to miss that.
John, as we look towards the Masters next month, who you feeling is a guy you kind of thinking about, okay, this guy's going to have a real good chance to win this? And do you have like maybe a surprise where you could say, hey, watch for this guy next month?
That's so hard to call, Biz. You always like to go with Scotty Scheffler, but he has not been on his game. That hand injury is kind of hurt him more than he thought it was going to hurt him. I've had hand injuries. It takes a long time to come back from something like that because that's feel, that's nerve, that's kind of heart and gut. I'm not sure, Scotty's the guy, although he might be ready to go. Who knows? He's got 2 weeks off. I don't know if he's going to play before he plays the Masters, but there's so many. It's just so vast. And who's playing pretty darn good is JT. Justin Thomas is playing pretty darn good right now. He's not been out of any event. He's kind of always been in the mix. You can just throw a dart at the board, honestly, right, with today's talent. In my era, and Bob and I have talked about this a lot, these players aren't any better than those guys, but there's just 100 of them instead of 25.
Yeah.
So basically, you could throw a dart really at the board and to be a worthy champion.
I root for him like crazy, and I want him to do well. And I like him as a person. We both know him. But I will say this. Scotty has been on such an incredible run. It's been an outlier for what he's been able to do. And it just reminds us of what Tiger was able to do. Because I could, just like Rory had a run, a couple of runs, and there was that time with Spieth, and there was that time with DJ, but it becomes cyclical. He could be on part of this now downturn. Not like that he's not going to be in contention, but it just really crystallizes to me like how unbelievable Tiger was for as long as he was.
So put together, Bob, what you just said. Put together Rory. Put together Spieth. Put together Johnson. Put together Koepka. Put together Scheffler. That's one Tiger Woods. That's how mind-boggling and how impressive what Tiger did in that era with other Hall of Famers. He wasn't beating nobodies. I can promise you that. You put all those guys together, you got one Tiger. That's pretty amazing.
Well, we're seeing them on the Champions Tour every week. I mean, look at the guys that are winning. I mean, we've had 5 events this year. You got Ernie Els winning, Justin Leonard, a major champion, winning, Jimenez, a world player, winning twice, and then Alker's like kind of the new kid on the block. But it really feels like the Champions Tour, and this weekend is the Gallery Classic, that it's hard to win on that tour. Like I was telling Biz this story. On weeks when there's opposite field events, so you have the main event on the tour, the elevated event, and then there's an opposite, whether it's Puerto Rico or Dominican Republic or the Barracuda. And there are Champions Tour players in those fields because they can't get in the Champions Tour events that week. That's how competitive the Champs Tour has been.
So, Bob, again, we talk a lot about this stuff, but on the PGA Tour champions, there's major championship winners, there's Hall of Famers, there's guys that have won, double-digit events. There's guys that have just won events. So to win one of these events, maybe the guys are older, got a little bit more silver hair, a little bit, more of a little boiler in front. Bob, their skills are still outstanding. So now you're trying to beat those Hall of Famers and those major championship winners that know what to do down the stretch to win a golf tournament. And you go on the PGA Tour and you're trying to beat guys that never won, they've never been in this position. Oh, this is the first time I've been in this position. They're not developing, those multiple, tournament winners. So who do you have to beat down the stretch? Guys that have never won. Well, I feel a little bit more comfortable about that. You go on the PGA Tour champions, these guys have won a lot of tournaments, and they, may not win. And Fred didn't have his energy last week. He knows how to close out events, but he didn't win. So Jimenez, who has won multiple times, down the stretch, and then you have, other players that just, right in the mix there that had not won or not won in a while. And those guys kind of come to the top.
John, with the PGA and the Live, what do you think is going to happen in the future?
I'd love to see some sort of connection, some sort of middle ground somewhere. And you're not going to get a lot of turnover of Live guys coming back to the PGA Tour. There's a couple. I think the other ones that want to come back, or if they do, they've lost their exemption anyway. I mean, they'd have to go through Q school all again. They have to be 22 years old out of college again. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure they want to do that when they're making all that money, where they are.
Right.
But there's a couple of guys that may want to, return and really, want Ryder Cup. They want, they want to be in the players. They want to play against the best players all the time. There's going to have to be a little retribution, obviously. And what those conversations are on the give and take of those players coming back, I don't know. I'd like to see something. But maybe if there's something with the topper players that they want to come back, but I'm not sure that the Live and the PGA Tour are going to marry. They might coexist in a more, maybe friendly fashion, but I don't see much more than a couple players coming back to the PGA Tour if they can, with other retributions.
It's a shame.
Yeah, it is. It is, Chris. And pardon me. We've talked a lot about this. It's like, what would you do? It depends on who you are, where you are in your career, how old you are. What would I have done at this? What would I have done at that? What would I have done at this? There's, I don't blame anybody for going. I don't blame anybody for staying. It's their own situation, what they thought was going to be best for them. That I can't hold that against people.
Oh, absolutely not.
Honestly. And maybe at 25, I might have done something. At 35, heck no, I would never have done it. That was my peak of my career.
Right.
At 42 or 43 years old, I don't know. And my wife and I, we've talked a lot about this. What would you do? I said, I don't know. It would just, it's not, there's a lot of levels. It's not an easy conversation.
John, listen, the bottom line was somebody's offering you 150 million, whatever the hell it is. Unless you're in that guy's shoes.
Yeah.
You can't judge because it's tough to turn down that money. Like when Koepka, and Bryson, and when they were offered, and DJ, when they were offered that money, I know a lot of people destroyed them, but man, be in their shoes and somebody says, yeah, I'll give you 250 million to play. Tough to say no, John. That's the bottom line.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it. That is for sure.
But it's unfortunate, John, because I do miss these guys.
Waste
management, all the tournaments. I miss these guys. I really do, John. I hope they could come to some kind of resolution in the future. Yeah,
there'll be a few that will transition back and forth, and rightfully so, I believe. But there's only a few.
Yeah, but I think you got to be a major champion, right? as a criteria. It's going to be interesting. It's an interesting dynamic to watch all this, and it just kind of keeps lingering. I think golf fans are fatigued by it a little bit. Is like, all right,
Totally.
just should have get off the pot. Like, just make a decision, figure something out. I mean, it can't be that hard to figure this out, unless it's a matter of, who's trying to overpower who.
Yeah, it always goes back to money too, Bob. I mean, it's, will they have to pay a fine? Are they going to have to give up something this, something that? I mean, I think the easiest thing is if they want to come back, they're not eligible for PEP money or any of their whatever it is. There's a monetary value right there that you can bring them back that they would have to forfeit. You just can't give them a free pass, because then that makes all the great guys and the PGA Tour that stayed look like they did it for nothing. But the other ones that want to come back, they left for a reason. They weren't going to win on the PGA Tour anymore. They felt like they weren't going to. And their exemptions have run out. Send them back to Q school. Do you want a, frontal lobotomy, and you want a bar exam, and you want the LCATs all at the same time? Let's go. I mean, that's what tour school is. Let's send these guys with their pockets full of money back to tour school and see how they choke on that.
So, John, I was telling Biz, big Ohio State fan. Obviously, you won an NCAA championship at Ohio State golf. NFL from your time on the West Coast, Charger fan. What first got you interested in football?
Oh, well, my father was a Central Ohio football, basketball, baseball, track guy in Circleville. And he went to Denison and played 3 sports for 4 years. He went to law school at Ohio State, and he became a graduate assistant in 1955, 54, 55 in there under Woody. So, and he played for Keith Piper, who was Woody's coach way back when. Dad went up to Toledo, Ohio. I was born in Toledo. So he was a high school football coach. He was a college football coach, went back to Ohio State in the early 60s, was offensive line coach, tight ends coach, went to Akron U, was an assistant head football coach up there. So we had football in our blood, that is for sure. He took a job with Firestone, and then they moved us out to Southern California. So we were always like Ohio State football fans in Trojan Nation. And, anytime they came near the Rose Bowl, we were, we rented a bus and off we went to the Rose Bowl to root on old Ohio State. So football has been in my blood, Bob. I played a bit in high school. I didn't play my senior year, but I played quarterback and safety freshman, sophomore, and junior years, junior year on the varsity. So just always been a huge fan, honestly. You were talking about sitting with your grandfather and like watching or listening to games. I would sit with my dad and listen to a football game or watch a football game and listen from a coach's perspective, what he was watching and what I was watching. I was always watching Dan Fouts. I was watching, Lance Allworth. I was watching quarterback to receiver, that. He was watching the line play, and he was telling me why those plays happened. And that just got me so intrigued that he went so many levels deep on that. So I just was always been a great fan, college football, and of course the NFL.
Were you able to apply any of those lessons and that thinking? Because now you're playing an unbelievably individual sport, right? I mean, you're out there by yourself. You're in the U.S. Amateur. You're in Plainfield, New Jersey, Plainfield Country Club. You're in New Jersey, match play. You're playing. And then you win an NCAA championship. I told Biz the next year you got back to the finals of the U.S. Amateur, which it's hard to just get there once and win it. You actually got to the finals the next year, lost to Marco Mira, but you got to the finals. Were you able to apply football thinking at golf at any point in your career, either amateur golf or in the professional ranks?
100%, Bob, 100%. And that, of course, my mentor and my coach was Ken Venturi. So that was all Hogan, Nelson, that process. But one thing I learned from my dad was preparation, knowing what's going to happen before it happens. And that comes from due diligence and practice and preparation. Back then, we didn't have the capabilities of all the films and all the digital stuff. So you just had to learn by repetition. So he always told me to pay attention to detail, practice like you mean it, and look yourself in the mirror at the end of every day and say, did I do everything I needed to do to get better today? So I learned that early on from a father who was also a coach. And then I applied that to the situations that I would get into golf. Is I've already practiced this before. I don't all I'm going to do is react to what the situation is. And that was, learning to be a quarterback was just that. You adapted to what the situation was going to give you. And that's what golf is all about. Everybody thinks you just stand up and hit a golf ball, but there's so much reaction and to the wind, where the pin is, what the conditions are, all this. You're reacting to all that, and then you go. So that you're prepared ahead of time for that.
Just
John,
quickly, Tutu's got to go to bed because it's 3 a.m. in Italy. Tutu, we appreciate you jumping on, baby. Way to go.
Hey, John, that's a great lesson for any sport. What you just said, man, for any sport, it's preparation and all that, execution, everything your father taught you, man. That's a great lesson for the youth. Yeah,
you know what I never understood, and I was having this conversation with my son today because we went and we played a little 9-hole dog track par 3 course. I said, we're going to go hit some balls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which, by the way, I'm going to start bringing them to the yards, but this is closer. And we're going to go hit some balls. Okay, we'll hit some balls and then we'll go play 9 holes. And I was telling him after the round, even the great players will go hit more balls most of the time. And we got into this conversation. I'm like, listen, when you go play football, does your coach not have you run routes and you have a catch with your teammates? Or in baseball, the coach has you stretching, and then you have short toss, long toss, swing a bat. Basketball, you take some shots. Maybe the coach has a layup line, whatever. I said, why is it that golf is the only sport where people could drink a bottle of wine at night, stay up late, eat a big meal, get up at the crack of dawn because they want one of the early tee times, roll out of the car, and think that they could go to the first tee and play and then get pissed when they don't play well? Why is it that people think that, well, really? You really? Do we really need to warm up? Well, do you warm up if you're playing in a men's beer softball league? Somebody has a catch before the game starts. Imagine jumping out of your car and you're first up.
Yeah. And I play with some guys that do that, Pop. They like show up 10 minutes before. Okay, where's the first tee? Let's go. Okay, good luck. They don't get going to the eight tee box. And John, prime example,
ahead,
Pop, was what you just mentioned, right? John, last week at the Hogue, you see Ernie Els after his round. And I see him practicing his irons. Something must have, maybe he didn't feel right. And he's out there practicing shot after shot with his irons. And that's what you want to tell these kids, right, Pop? Look, this is Ernie Els. Look at him. He's working on his game after the round.
These players still have a lot of pride, Biz. They really do.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
they don't want to go out and not play well and embarrass themselves. Hey, I've been there. It was, late in my career. It was rough. It could be rough. And I mean, to your point, we talked about preparation and seeing and learning and feeling and observing everything. Tiger took it to like the nth degree, and I got to see that firsthand. You know, you always thought that you were prepared, ready to play, and then you saw this guy. This guy was off the charts on how he was preparing for not just this week, next week, it was the week after, and the progression and what he went through. So, you know, those lessons learned early on about practicing with purpose. I've always told Bob this, and whoever I'm talking with or trying to help, is golf is golf. Every shot value means the same, no matter if it's a shot on the practice tee, or it's a shot on the golf course, or if it's a shot that actually is in a competition. Each shot is the same. And that's what the great players did, is they practiced repetition. So they didn't have to all of a sudden click into mode. They were already in mode before, you know, when they put their cap on at their locker, they were in mode right there.
John, Tiger had that Belichick preparation and the Ray Lewis killer instinct mentality. That's what when I looked at Tiger all those years, that's what I thought of, John. I got to be honest with you. He had that football preparation in his mind, like a Belichick, where he knew 3 steps ahead what was going to happen. And then he had that killer instinct with Ray Lewis type guy where he was looking to take your head off on a golf course.
Yeah, he married everything, Biz. He married emotional. He married
Amazing.
The physical, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual, you know, thing about golf. He married it all at the highest level. His preparation was off the charts. Yeah, it wasn't a fair fight for a while. It just wasn't fair.
John, get back to football. You know, I'm curious.
Yeah.
I'm curious about your Chargers. Justin Herbert, obviously a very talented quarterback, but comes up a little short. You know, last year in the playoffs, didn't really play well. How do you feel about him? And obviously, I guess although you probably deep down can't stand him, he's a Michigan guy. How do you feel about your guy, Jimmy Harbaugh?
That was a tough one for me, Biz.
That had to be tough.
That was a tough hire. Although I do know Dean Spanos fairly well, and we communicate a little bit.
Okay.
We kind of knew what was happening. So, hey, if you can hire a winner, and that's for sure, and no doubt about it. But Justin Herbert is, I mean, physical specimens. He's got, you know, all of that. Mm-hmm. You know, in the NFL especially, you have to surround yourself with like-minded people. I mean, you have to have a core around you, a great support system, and I think they're working on that. Mm-hmm. I think, yeah, obviously they need, you know, a couple more weapons, wherever it might be. I don't know if Najee Harris is the guy. I thought J.K. Dobbins was good, obviously Ohio State guy, but he was always injured, which was a shame. You know, the receivers started to kind of develop a little bit. I think Joe Alt was a great draft pick, and maybe they can add another 1 or 2 in there and get Herbert a little more time, and, you know, bring some stud in, bring some Hollywood something, you know, go-to guy, you know, to, you know, down the stretch that's not going to drop a ball, that's not going to have a horrible penalty, that can get open, and you can make a big play. So defense, I think, is good. I hate to see Joey Bosa go, obviously, but he's going to Buffalo, which is okay. Mm-hmm. I kind of have some ties in Buffalo as well, so I'm kind of happy for that. But I think defense fairly well shored up. I think they need a weapon, another weapon, big one.
John, we got the bad news about Tiger's Achilles. How much does the allure of that golf cart and 54 holes and only one Pro-Am, how much more of attraction do you think that is becoming for Tiger Woods? Because as Ernie Els and Justin Leonard and some of these other PGA Tour Champions players kind of swatted back at Rory McIlroy after he made those comments at the players about something would really have to go wrong in my life for me to play in the Champions Tour. And that's not what it's about. It's about competition.
No, it's 180 from that. Yep.
So that's realistically the only place that Tiger is going to get that edge, because after the accident and now with the Achilles, and turning 50 in December. I mean, his ability to compete on the PGA Tour, I'm not going to ever say it's over, but it's kind of over, only because you got to walk. We know he could still hit a ball when he's healthy, but walking, and it's not just 72 holes. It's a practice round on Tuesday. It's hitting balls on Monday. It's maybe a 9-hole practice round on Wednesday. It's a lot more than just 72 holes. How much is that allure of a golf cart, or the lure of a golf cart, and being able to compete against these guys going to pull him in?
I think he's curious, Bob. I think that the competitiveness never dies, or might die later on, like for me in my 60s. But that competitive really never dies. And I know he's curious about it. He still has great friends that are on the PGA Tour champions. And you start looking at a schedule, and yeah, he can ride in a golf cart. It's mostly 54 holes. There's some fun places he can play. I think that I think he would be, I think he'd be pleasantly surprised at some of these places that we do play. And then you throw in Firestone. Well, he's had a pretty good record around Firestone. You throw in the Ally up at Warwick Hills. He won like 6 or 7 times up there too. So you start adding in some of these events, and he may get to 6 or 8. I don't know. That would be great if he did. I wouldn't blame him if he only played a couple, or if he didn't play at all. That's not up to us, but it would be a big boost. I think he's very curious about getting back out there and playing some competitive golf against some pretty competitive players.
John,
Go ahead, Biz. Then I'm going to take John in one more direction.
We'll let John go. John,
no, we're not letting him go. We got some more.
No, okay. I thought John had a run. Okay.
I got.
You got plenty left of that. John, who's the guy you really like to watch on the PGA Tour? Is it Roy, like a guy like that? Who do you like? You say, man, I really like to watch him.
This day and age, I mean, obviously Scotty is intriguing to me. I don't know how he does it, honestly. I don't know how doesn't have 2 broken ankles and
with that swing,
10 thumbs. Honestly, I don't. Incredible talent. You go watch him, and you talk about flushing a golf ball.
Mm-hmm.
He flushes a golf ball. It's like listening to George Brett hit it off a bat, or Tony Gwynn.
Right.
Or listening to Elway throw a pass. It's just
It's a different sound.
Yeah, it's a different sound.
Right.
So he flushes it. A kid that I've been around quite a bit, and he finally came into his own last year, winning the PGA and the Open Championship, is Xander Schauffele.
Right.
Got to know him a little bit through my relationship with Patrick Cantley, who is one of his best friends. And to see him kind of grow into his own, and with a swing that kind of looks like it's going about 80 miles an hour.
Right.
He talk about flushing it. He can flush it too. So it's pretty. I enjoy watching Xander progress in his career. But it's hard to take your eyes off of someone like Jordan Spieth. Honestly, it's just like you don't know what you're going to get.
Right.
And knowing some of these kids
why does he just hit a hybrid off the tee on every hole? He's such a good iron player.
Seriously, right? You start to question these kids. You go, man, I could help that guy in 9 holes, 10 minutes. I could help that kid play golf.
Oh, you could. Hey, you mentioned Patrick Cantley, and Biz and I have talked about this. How do we get him across the finish line?
Yeah, that's a problem.
In the big ones. How do we get him across the finish line at the Players? Because he was there. How do we get him across the finish line or closer to the finish line and then across in the majors? Because he's got the game to do everything.
Yeah, Bob, you're right. And I've known this kid since he was 14 years old. I've known him since he was a skinny little kid out of, Long Beach and out of he went to Servite High and member at Virginia Country Club and hanging around, Jamie Mulligan's kind of crew right there and starting to learn. He was this tiny little kid that could really putt, but he was always hanging around, always wanting to learn. So you got to know Patrick really, really well. Spent a lot of quality time with him when he was really learning how to play, and also when he went through that really, really bad downtime personally and everything else. That was, I think he learned a lot. It's come a couple, times that we had gotten to chat a little bit, but it's a hard one, Bob. I haven't been around him that much lately to see what he's working on, what his mental thing is. I know that he's been big part of this PGA Tour policy board thing and getting all this stuff together. And, he recently got married and he's got all these balls in the air. But at some point in time, you gotta be selfish, and you gotta go, hey, talk about looking at yourself in the mirror. Am I doing everything I can to be better? Well, maybe he's not right now. And maybe he needs to be a little selfish and, really dedicate himself to getting over that finish line, because he's done everything but, and he has been in that position near the end, but just hasn't crossed that finish line. And the longer it goes, the harder it gets.
All right. So Biz, John, speaking of Patrick Cantlay, John is involved with this product called My Power Plane. In fact, Jamie Mulligan, who's been John's longtime coach, and is also Patrick Cantlay's coach and Nelly Corder's coach, also love this thing. So Lindsay, let's roll the clip here for our audience to give them an idea of what My Power Plane is.
I love how simple it is. You and I have both made a living, you playing and me coaching, making golf really simple. This is such a simple tool, and you've got a teaching device here that will never put you in a bad spot if you put it on yourself the right way. You got it like this, you're making the magic move to rotate up, rotate down. You don't have to worry about lining something up on the golf club or on the ground or running back to your video camera. And you can do it whether you're playing or not to ingrain innate great habits to become a better player. My Power Plane teaches you all of that.
There you go, My Power Plane, John. Let's talk about My Power Plane a little bit here, Biz, because the weather's still a little cool in your area. Mm-hmm. It's starting to get nice, but we talk about all these other sports and muscle memory, and this is something, John, that can be used while you're watching TV to create muscle memory. Just talk a little bit about why Jamie told us, he said, look, I get hundreds of offers a year to endorse some type of swing training device. And he goes, most of them are garbage. And he goes, there's some that actually could hurt your swing. And he loved My Power Plane when he tried it. Just talk about the methodology behind My Power Plane and why it's something that I've had mine for a year and a half. I roll it up. I put it in the pouch. If you go to the website, you can see. You can keep it in your trunk. You can keep it in your office. You can keep it in your den. Right, yeah, you got yours right there. But the benefit and why anybody out here who's a golfer right now should invest in this to help their game.
So I learned the game. I mean, I got better when I learned the game from Venturi, and he worked with Hogan and Nelson. And one thing Ben Hogan always talked about was the swing plane and staying in your pocket, staying in your plane. And My Power Plane, what it does when you get in the right position, which we do explain on the video, is all you have to do is turn your shoulders. You don't lift your arms. You don't start with your hands. You don't pull the club up. You just turn around your body and keep turning around and turning through and staying in your pocket. Jamie mentions the pocket. And that's all I ever learned in the golf swing from Venturi was all you have to do is stand there. You have good fundamentals, athletic setup, and now just turn your shoulders. And that's exactly what my power plane does. It turns your shoulders, gets your back to the target, and you stay in your pocket and rotate on that left side and go ahead and hit it. And that's the basic fundamentals of a golf swing.
And really,
And
like
you can do it like you said, you can be sitting on your couch, sitting on a exercise ball, and just putting it around your shoulders and turning. And what you're doing is you're strengthening the core muscles of your body. If you don't even play golf, that's still a good thing, by the way.
yeah, and Biz, like you see people. Maybe you're playing the golf course that you play. The range is crowded,
Right.
or maybe you are late after a couple too many wines and too heavy a meal, and you're late getting there. And then you start taking two clubs like you're in the on-deck circle at Yankee Stadium or Fenway Park for you. And you start swinging wildly. And you put it behind your neck. And you actually hurt yourself. You get this thing, you unroll it. You put it on. And but just by turning, you can feel the activation of your core muscles. Like even before you hit a ball on a range.
Hey, Pop,
Biz, you saw the site.
Yeah, no, I was watching. Could Lindsay put that up again? You just put it right over and just work on the shoulders.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, John?
I love how simple it is. You and I have both made a living, you playing and me coaching, making golf really simple. This is such a simple tool, and you've got a teaching device here that will never put you in a bad spot if you put it on yourself the right way. You got it like this, you're making the magic move to rotate up, rotate down. You don't have to worry about lining something up on the golf club or on the ground or running back to your video camera. And you can do it whether you're playing or not to ingrain innate great habits to become a better player. My power plane teaches you all of that.
Thank you, Lindsay.
So, guys, I promise you, I'm 67 years old, and Bob and I have played a lot of golf together. And I haven't played a whole lot of golf in the last 3 or 4 years, but when I get out there, I play fine. But I'll tell you what, I don't ever have to think about my swing anymore, honestly. A 5-minute warm-up session or just, sitting here in the room doing whatever, and you start ingraining what the plane of the golf swing helps you do. I've played some pretty good golf in the last few years, shooting my age, feeling like I go out and I can play okay, hit a lot of good shots. I never feel stiff. I never feel worn out. I mean, it's an efficient way to swing a golf club. And that's what you're looking for, something consistent and efficient.
I look forward to getting it, John. Especially after yesterday. What's today, Pop? Especially after yesterday, the way I was swinging a damn club.
Ooh,
it was
all winter while you're sitting in front of your fireplace, watching football. You could have been doing this right here, But your first tee ball in front of your buddies, 320 right down the middle, right down the gut.
I look forward to it, John. I look forward to purchasing and using it a lot.
Yeah, it really is helpful, and I use it before I even hit balls on the range.
I was just going to say, I'll be breaking out before I even hit balls.
Yeah, so before you hit balls.
Oh, absolutely.
So I do it really slow, and then I start working on increasing the speed, and then I'll do it really slow left-handed, and I'll work on doing it left-handed, because what I really want to do is get everything firing, and you're not going to hurt yourself. I can't tell you how many times I've put two clubs behind my neck, and you're doing this, and all of a sudden you feel like a pinch. You're not, and then you just literally roll it back up and stick it in the pouch.
Right.
Throw it back in your car. You could just even hook it onto your bag or put it in the basket if you're riding. And what's it weigh? Like a pound?
An ounce? It doesn't weigh anything.
Yeah, it's made out of this foam. If you watch the video, go to the website.
Like foam. Yeah.
But it's unbreakable foam.
There's a lot of good stuff on that website too, as far as drills and tutorials and a lot of good things. It's very simple. It's so simple. It's crazy. It's not even right. It's so simple.
Right.
Hey, John, we got the Gallery Classic. 7 World Golf Hall of Famers in the field this week. I'm going to read them off to you. I forgot to send you this, Biz. Fred Couples, Ernie Els, Retief Goosen, Bernhard Langer, Colin Montgomery, Jose Maria Olazabal, VJ Singh. Goosen's the defending champ. David Toms won 2 years ago. It'll be on Golf Channel Friday night. I think we're tape delayed, so it'll be on like 7 p.m. or something like that.
Where's it at, Pop? Where's it out this weekend?
Rancho Mirage, California. Remember where they used to play the old Dinah Shore?
Sure.
The
yeah.
LPG?
Same
Golf course.
Mission Hills Country Club.
Mission Hills
I've
Country.
spent
Okay.
30 years
Cookie-
there on
Cookie
property.
grew up there.
I cut my teeth there. That's where I met Ken Venturi.
Okay.
1972.
Let me tell you something. You want to really know a really nice scene? 2 years ago, John officially retired from playing
Okay.
PGA Tour Champions event. So he made Mission Hills, where he grew up, his last one. And his daughter flew in from Australia. His other daughter, son-in-law, came in from Arizona. His granddaughter came in from Australia. He had his son, Jason, on the bag, caddying for him. Like, what an unbelievable moment
Great moment.
to go full circle from growing up
heavy.
there to play your last event. And you played really well. You played really well that
Yeah, I
week.
played okay. I shot par.
I was
better
going
every
to
day.
say you made the cut, and then all of a sudden I realized there is no cut.
No cuts, no. I shot
must have
par
been-
better every day, so it was all right.
John, that must have been some moment for you, though, man. All kidding aside, that must have been some moment for you.
Yeah, it was. It was so emotional, honestly. A place where my parents had a place in 1972, and kept the place there for however many years it was. We moved out of there in 1999, so close to 30 years. So I thought it was appropriate. I wasn't really playing them much anyway. And I just thought, I'm just going to absolutely just end it right here. My wife didn't even know it until going into that week. Just the walk around. I played the week before at Newport. I played horrible. I hadn't played in like 4 years, so it was awful. But the next week was okay. But just the walk around there was remembering the golf course just as it was. It hasn't changed any since 1971.
Wow.
It was just so surreal to walk around there and know that I hit my first golf balls with Venturi when I was 14 years old, right there on that practice tee. It was the same direction, it's the same one. So it was all week. It didn't really hit me until I hit my tee ball at my last hole, which was number 9, the par 5 around the corner, and I got up over this and I hit it and I went, oh, that's my last tee ball I'm ever going to hit, in competition like this. And
Right.
then I striped the 3-wood up right by the green. Like, wow, that was a pretty good shot. That was nice. Hey, let's end it with a birdie here. Hit a good bunker shot, missed about an 8-footer. And then I walked off the green, and all of a sudden, KJ Choi I played with, he didn't really understand what was going on. But Tim O'Neill was the other player. And he had heard something about it. I didn't know Tim very well, but he was a great guy, great player, and obviously he went on to win. But then I started walking across the street, and my family is there. They're all crying, and my son is with me. He's going to the scoring tent to, help me, finish the day, get my card. And when I walked out, that's when it killed me. The wife was crying, and Jason was, and it didn't really hit me all week until that. But I think what Mission Hills meant to me as a child growing up, and also as a husband and a new father for all those years that our kids lived there, and to end it there was super special. They did a couple nice little things for me. It was quite nice.
All right. Cookie, I know that where you're staying in Jack's Beach, you're not going to be able to get this. But you saw the Parmesan, right? And you saw the
I did.
Milanese that I met. All right, let's show you how to make the chicken piccata, Lindsay. Let's get Cookie.
Perfect. So now we're going to make a quick piccata.
Oh.
So I saved some of the oil and some of the scrapings from what we just produced with the chicken. I'm going to take about 2 tablespoons of butter and kind of just melt that down. So while that's melting down, got the heat on a little bit above medium. I'm going to take a half a lemon. I'm going to get some lemon juice in there. All right, so we're cooking off that wine and we're cooking off that chicken stock. We're just kind of letting it come together. I'm going to lower that heat, just put it at a medium. So we're going to
By the way,
we're gonna just
I
take
put a
our
half a
chicken
jar of
first.
capers in there that I let drain for about 3 hours.
These,
Oh, I love it.
pop it in.
You
Love
gotta
it.
let them drain.
Put another one in. Put another one in. We're going to just let it kind of come together. So now, what I'm going to do.
So you missed the white
zest of the
wine
lemon.
and the
Take
chicken
the
stock
zest of the lemon.
that create the sauce, and you
Keep
cook
adding
it
that
down
lemon
to
flavor.
about half.
Fresh parsley. You don't use that fake stuff. A little fresh parsley. Get it in there. Now we just keep reducing this a little bit longer and just keep reducing it. Maybe hit it with a little bit more lemon. We're going to just let that keep cooking down. Capers in, and now we're ready to plate. So we're going to take this, and so we've got. You don't, as
That's a
Emerald
real
would say,
Italian
you don't
thing.
wanna
You
mess up
foil
what
so
a
you
yum-yum's got.
protect how much you got to clean up.
A little bit of sauce.
That is pure Italian.
Put a little dash of heavy cream, which I did, just to give it a little bit more depth. For those who like capers, let's make sure we get the capers on there nice. It's not
Like the
burning
capers,
house
Pop.
down.
You
Love
gotta
the
have
capers.
You have to have capers
Love the
for a
capers.
piccata.
Love the capers, Pop.
There's no such thing as a piccata without the capers. Look at that.
No.
How nice is that?
Oh my gosh.
That. Oh,
John, how good
Please.
does that look?
I'm good. I'm glad I'm here for 2 weeks because he's going to be doing some cooking this week.
Are you working next week too?
Yeah.
You're
I come
here?
Yeah, I'm not leaving.
Who's on the ground next week? Billy, we got Billy Ray back. We got the band back together except we're going to be in Jacksonville, and Billy Ray's
We
going to
do
be
it.
in Mission Hills.
I think they got Johnny McGinnis
Oh,
and
Johnny
Jeff
McGinnis.
Sluman.
That'll be good. Hey, I got to do this read. Lindsay, I think you need to insert this at the beginning of the show for the rear, but I got to do it right now because I forgot. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for betting on all the madness. Hey, maybe your bracket's busted. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with free Sweet 16 bracket, live betting on every remaining tournament game, largest selection of odds on everything from college basketball, MLB, NHL, MMA. BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. Cinderella story to every hat trick, and my Lord, I need the Rangers to start getting some hat tricks. BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. And, of course, opening day in the major leagues tomorrow, so I'm sure you can make a few wagers. How you done?
Bet those Red Sox, Pop.
Okay, bet the Red Sox. John, were you a baseball guy at all, John?
Yeah, Dodgers.
Oh,
Dodgers all the way. Sorry. Yeah. Dodgers.
happy
Let me ask you
baseball guy,
something.
Pop.
Let me ask you. I don't want to
Yeah.
push you.
You know, I
push
used
here,
to,
but-
you know, it was so interesting. Like back in the day, you were talking about, watching with your grandfather. And I used to sit in my room, I'm just a child, and listen to the radio and chart games, whether it was a Laker game, whether it was a Dodger game, just chart games and like learn about what was going on. That was the good old days.
So you moved out there young enough so that you weren't infected with being a Browns fan or an Indians fan.
No,
Because at that
not at
point in
all.
time, being a Browns fan and an Indians fan wasn't very bueno in the 70s.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, everybody always asks me like, "Who's your football team? Who's your baseball team?" And I go, "Dodgers, Chargers," and they go, "But Cleveland, Cincinnati." Well, a little bit Cincinnati. I had a second cousin. My my father's first cousin, Greg Cook, played for the Bengals way back, in their expansion days. He was a rookie. So a little bit Bengals, but mostly, they can't believe I have zero interest in the Guardians or the Indians or the Browns.
Indians. The
Guardians
Guardians.
now,
It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, a little bit Bengals, but yeah. No,
When
West Coast.
the Giants had joint practices with the Browns a couple of years ago, and preseason game in Cleveland. So we went to the stadium. We went to a baseball game that night. I can't even remember who Cleveland was playing, but it was like the last year of the Indians, and they were switching the logo. So we all took a picture under Chief Wahoo.
Oh God!
To have it for posterity, because can't have the Indians.
No, I can't.
But you know what? Down in Florida and in the deep part of Georgia, they're still doing the tomahawk chop.
Yeah.
No one's telling them we're not.
No, that's not going away anytime soon, Bob.
No, not at all.
All right, John. Chin Chin, we appreciate you.
John, it was
coming
a pleasure, my man. It was a pleasure.
Pleasure, Biz. Absolutely.
Pleasure to meet you, brother.
Thank you,
You know
my
we
friend.
got. We got
great to
tonight,
meet you.
John. We got the Dow. We got the Miguel Angel Jimenez.
Oh, love the Dow.
I can't tell you how many times, Biz, we'll be in this. We'll be in a
great.
steakhouse on the road. Well, when we used to travel, and we'd be there, and Miguel would be with his wife, or with a lot of times he'll eat with Olazabal and some of the other Spanish players, or sometimes he just sits at the bar by himself if he's got nobody traveling with him. I can't tell you the amount of times he's bought us. For you, my friend. Yep. Thank you so much. You've been so nice to us. Then, salud. Money.
Yep.
I thought that was a pretty good Jimenez right there.
Yeah, that was really good. That was really good.
He's a good dude.
Good, Bob.
That was good.
I don't know. They didn't go
I don't know.
But it was good. I had the rojo. It was good.
I had the good chip. I had a good chip on the 18. Good chip.
I'm happy. I let to compete. All these guys.
How'd you win? How'd you win? I had a good chip.
All right.
Basically what he said, right?
Yeah, last week, right, John? I had a good chip.
And Cookie was in.
I didn't know where to go from there. I
needed,
go like, okay, I got to stretch this out a little bit.
Yeah.
We needed subtitles.
He's the best, though. He's the best. Yeah.
He looks like a blast, John. He does. He looks like a funny guy, man.
Yeah.
Guy you want to hang out with.
Yes, you do want to hang out with him tonight, but here's
he
the
looks
other
like
thing.
that type of guy.
But Biz, I'll tell you the other thing about him. Every hotel that you stay in, that he might be staying in,
right?
Every morning in the gym.
Every morning in the gym?
Going at it. A lot of guys are going at it in the gym.
Right.
I mean, bands and stretching and lifting and medicine balls and physio balls and all these things. Right. Miguel is like, he doesn't show up in the gym with the cigar. I guess the cigar stays in the room.
Right.
So, yeah, Gallery Classic this weekend, Golf Channel, Friday.
John, look forward to watching this weekend, buddy.
You got it.
Look forward to watching you.
Look forward to it. Great being with you.
Cookie, Chin Chin. See you tomorrow in the studio.
Chin
Lindsay, unbelievable job. Thanks to Michael
Linz.
K.
Thank you.
Go to mypowerplane.com. We're going to put out a recipe book at some point because I keep making all this stuff each week.
Yeah. I'm in.
Look at Cookie. I hope you have a backup plan there.
Oh, yeah.
Love it.
Hey, when you hang out with pros, Biz, you better step up your game.
I hope to remember that for the future, John.
By the way, if everything works out scheduling wise tomorrow, which I think it's going to work out, Biz, you know where I'm taking him tomorrow night with my producer Rob Sharp and our boss Greg Hoffey, Vincenzo's.
I had a feling you were going there.
You got to
experience eating all day. I'm not eating all day.
Last week we went there. We decided after the show to go get something. So I called Vincenzo.
With John?
No, with Azinger.
Oh, with Azinger. Right, okay.
And Sharpie and Mel, our director, Mel Hunley. So I text Vincenzo. I goes, I know you're closing at 9. We're going to be off the air at 8. We'll be there by 8:20. Texts me back. He goes, look, Florida's playing right now. No one's going to be here. Everybody's going to be home. So he goes, oh, so we get there. And he brings out a pizza. As soon as we get there, the Paisan pizza. He calls it the Paisan pizza.
Buffalo?
Off the charts. No,
Great.
it was no tomato, like mozzarella, prosciutto, provolone, all melted with a little balsamic glaze on it. It was phenomenal. Then he brought out buffalo mozzarella tomatoes. Then he brought out mussels and clams fra diavolo. Then he brings out this big family style thing of pasta with marsala, chicken marsala. Then another one comes out with scampi.
Wow.
And Zinger's like, holy crap. Like, are you kidding me?
Now you know what to look forward to, John.
Oof.
Yeah, it was good.
Get ready to eat,
was
John.
good.
Get ready to eat, brother.
I'm ready.
I know our
I'll
boss
go.
wants us to go to Poppy's, which is another Italian joint down here, but it's old. It's Vincenzo's is new. By the way, we met
100%.
this. On one more story, because crazy things happen in Vincenzo's. So we're sitting in there, and there's a table of like 12 guys, and they keep looking at us. They see we got the Golf Channel stuff on. They got the suntan. Well, they're from Great Britain.
Okay.
They'd flown here to go on a golf junket in the United States, and they played the stadium course. So, they got the sunburn, the whole thing, because they're from the UK, and it was like 78 last weekend, so they fried up fast. So they see Azinger, and of course he's giving them the needle, which, by the way, John Cook is on the last USA Ryder Cup team to win on foreign soil.
Oh, okay.
What year was that, John?
93.
Wow.
93. That's the
Did not
last
know
time
that.
we've won
With Paul. With Paul.
on foreign soil.
Okay.
So
Did not know
Zinger was
that.
on that team. Lanny was on that team.
Maybe 35 years.
Zinger was also a winning captain. So he starts needling them a little bit because Paul is as red, white, and blue as you can come. He's got Donald Trump on speed dial. And I'm not kidding.
I'm
I
not
believe
kidding.
you.
Yes.
I believe you.
I'm not kidding. So they take a picture. Zinger's throwing, pro-American stuff at him.
Right.
All this stuff. So what time are you guys teeing off tomorrow? They're like, oh, we're teeing off at 11 a.m. He goes, all right. He goes, our rehearsal started at 4. We were on the air live at 5. We start. So Zinger gives them his phone number. One of the guys. I'm like, oh, this is going to go over really good during the Ryder Cup.
Yeah.
I'm like, Zinger, you know what? You're going to get unpaid parking tickets from Singapore next by giving these guys these numbers.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Right.
we're in the studio, and he gets the text from the guy because Zinger says, text me when you get to 16. Text. So now all we have to do is walk out of the studio, walk down the beautiful little manicured path past the corporate building from where the studio is, and you're right by where the big merchandise tent was, and you're behind 17 green. Now, they still haven't taken down all the grandstand. So we walked up there, and we watched these groups, these 3 groups from Great Britain who were just on a golf trip, hit their tee shots at 17, and then they all took pictures with Zinger.
How fun.
All because of Vincenzo's.
There you go.
There you go. Vincenzo's.
That's it. It's where memories are made to happen.
That's where memories are made. Yep.
All
right.
Cookie, we appreciate it.
Yep.
Again, mypowerplane.com. Check it out. John has got instructional videos on there. He's got drills. We've got people from Virginia Country Club that just tried it randomly.
Yeah, just random.
Marco Mira loves it. Marco Mira has used it. Corey Pavin loved it. A lot of guys loved it. I sounded like Trump there. A lot of people love it. A lot of people love it. But go to mypowerplane.com. Check it out. Groove your swing year round.
It'll help. It will help. It won't
Definitely
hurt you. Promise you that.
Well, it'll help.
John, I look forward to it. I look forward to using it.
All right.
I need it right now.
You got it.
Check us out on Golf Channel Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Gallery Classic from Mission Hills. Biz, Chin Chin.
Chin Chin, my friend.
This is like a Papa family goodbye. My father's family, my family. You say goodbye and kiss everybody 3 times.
Oh, you got
It
it.
takes an hour to leave. I think this is the 3rd or 4th Chin Chin we've done.
That's a
We
must.
have.
All right.
I'm good with that.
We'll see you next week. We'll have some more guests. I'll figure out something to cook. And Biz will do it again. And John, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, John. Thank you,
here
brother.
on this edition
Pleasure.
of the Mangia Cast. Mangia.